Dave Palumbo here, and I want to say a word about Kevin Levrone's comeback. This has got to be the talk of the year, maybe the talk of the decade in the bodybuilding world. I remember back when Lou Ferrigno, at I think 38 or 39 years old, decided to make the comeback, and I was reading it in the magazines, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, the Incredible Hulk is coming back. That was at 39 years old. Kevin Levrone is, some people say 49, some people say 52. He's in the 50 years old range, and he's making a comeback, something that he's been teasing us about for the last 5 years, and I happen to think it's the most exciting thing to happen to professional men's bodybuilding in all the years I can remember, maybe since Ronnie versus Jay on stage. And I'm going to tell you, Kevin Levrone is not some guy who's going to show up and look like, oh, he looks great for his age. This is a guy who has the genetic potential to stand up on that stage and battle it out in the top 5 with these guys. And I think these guys are very, very scared. I know everyone thinks, look at Levrone, he didn't look that good in Pittsburgh. This guy hasn't even started yet. I'm telling you, back in 1996, Kevin Levrone called me up and told me, come down to Maryland. We had been in talks, and I've been giving him some advice with diet-wise. He had sent me pictures, I believe it was at 12 weeks out from the Arnold. He hadn't even trained in 4 months. He looked like he didn't even pick up a weight. I'm thinking to myself, this guy's never going to be ready for the Arnold. I said, maybe you should wait till the Olympia. And I went down there with 6 weeks later, and it was 6 weeks out from the Arnold, and he took his shirt off, and I was 315 pounds, true story. And I said to myself, I will never beat this guy, ever in my career. And I've said this story before. He was that impressive. He responds so quickly, his body. And he did verify he has no injuries. He got his whole body scanned because he's very paranoid about his health, which is a good thing. And I believe that if Kevin can train heavy, which it seems like he is, because I've seen some of his Instagram and his Facebook posts, I think he's going to put the size back on. And I think whatever he's got now, which a lot of people are kind of impressed with, he'll have so much more than that. He never starts this far out for the Olympia. He would start 12 weeks out at looking like nothing. He's probably 25 weeks out now, probably about 20 weeks out now, and the guy hasn't even started yet, and he's big already. So he's going to be very dangerous on stage. Now, I believe when it's all said and done, he's either going to be unbelievable or he's going to be like, so-so. But I think unbelievable would be more like it. And you got to remember, every one of those judges up there is a bodybuilding fan. A lot of them have judged him before. There's going to be a sentimentality about this that Kevin will have behind him. Everyone knows he was at 4th. I think he was 2nd at the Olympia 4 times. And, you know, people would love to see him win the Olympia from a sentimentality standpoint, including the judges. So if it's close, Kevin's going to get the nod, you know, and, you know, Phil Heath better be on his game. If he looks like he did last year, I get news to you, he's in trouble. And, you know, we could talk about Kai Greens, we can talk about Dexter Jackson, we could talk about Sean Roden. Levrone at his best would beat all those guys. Now, at 50 years old, I don't think we're going to see him at his best, but I think we can see him close to it. The problem that a lot of guys in there, as they get older, have is that the legs don't come up. We've seen Kevin's upper body. It looks impressive. I know it will be even better than that on stage. Will his legs come back? That's the question. I'm sure that's, you know, assuming his, like I said, his joints can handle the punishment, I think they will, because I think that the muscles will respond because Kevin is such a hyper responder. The issue is, once he gets into the prep and starts training with the 405 on the bench and squatting the 500-600 pounds, will his body hold up? You know, it's a long time. 20 weeks is a lot of pounding to take on your body, and I don't know if Kevin's body at that age it can handle the heavy weights, which I know he will push himself to do. That's why he'll put the size back on. And I also know that Kevin doesn't eat right when he's not really in the mindset. So once he starts hitting those 6 meals a day, you know, and he's a big low-carb dieter, he is going to get hard, and he's going to grow into that show, and it's going to be so exciting to go to the Olympia once again. Just sitting at that press conference, hearing Kevin Levrone up there again, and you know, people asking him the questions, not knowing how he looks, and I think that this might be one of the most exciting Olympias of all time because of the comeback. Now, people have asked me, where do I think he'll place? You know, I think he has potential for top 6. Now, I know Dennis Wolf just had some kind of crazy announcement that he's injured in some way or another. It doesn't sound very good. It doesn't bode very well for him at the Olympia in 20 weeks. So if he's out of that lineup, you can knock someone else out and move Levrone up. But once again, Kevin's got rust on him. Is it a mistake to just do the Olympia? A lot of people have asked me. I say no, because I think that Kevin needs to keep that mystique there. You can't show off what you got ahead of time. You want to go shock and awe people, and I think that's exactly what Kevin's going to do. I know Robin Chang and the whole AMI crew have got to be thrilled, because it's going to certainly add another level of excitement to the Mr. Olympia contest that we haven't seen in a really long time. And you know what the great thing is? We've always made these comparisons. What would Phil Heath do against the guys from the 90s? Now, granted, Levrone is not the same guy he was from the 90s, but he is a guy from the 90s. To see him get up on that stage again and get back in shape, it's going to be a great battle. I can't wait to see it personally. As a fan of the sport, I'm super excited. My question is, I wonder what's going through Kevin's head. What made him at this late stage of the game say to himself, I want to get back on stage one more time. Sometimes when you have such great gifts, you take them for granted. And did Kevin take his gifts for granted, and end his career a little earlier than maybe he should have? I think maybe that's the case, and I think he wants to go one more time to see what he's got. Ferrigno did it, and while Ferrigno didn't win the big show, he certainly came back and was very impressive. I mean, if you look at the pictures that are still out there from when Ferrigno was 330 pounds, I think, looking better than he ever did in his entire career, it was a successful comeback for him. I don't think Levrone will be happy unless he wins the Olympia. It's the only show he hasn't won. You got to remember, he's beat almost everyone up on stage. The only person he hasn't competed against Phil Heath. I don't think he's competed against Roden either, or Wolf. So it'll be interesting. He's beaten Dexter before. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Once again, I'm very excited that Kevin's back on stage. If there's anyone who believes in him, it's me. I'm a Levrone believer, that's for sure, and I'm glad that he came back, because I've announced so many times he was going to make a comeback that people don't believe me. I'm like the boy who cried wolf, but we didn't cry wolf. At the Pittsburgh Pro this past weekend, Levrone made the official announcement. He'll be getting the special invite from Robin Chang over there at Weider, and so he won't have to qualify. Remember, only former Mr. Olympias are automatically qualified for life, but Levrone gets that special invite. They used to give it out all the time, so this is nothing rare. And I think that it's a good move on AMI's part, and we'll have to see what happens. And hopefully Kevin will give us little teasers as the weeks progress. We're going to try to get him on live with a little later this week. For now, I'm Dave Palumbo with my 2 cents.